The beginning, the middle, and the end of my life all carry the same thread, the preservation of freedom. Not freedom as society defines it, not the freedom to choose one path over another, but the natural freedom of life itself, the instinct that moves to preserve what is true. That freedom was alive in me from the start. I felt it intuitively. My attachments were never as clingy, never as consuming as those around me, not because I chose it, not because of will, but because freedom itself was moving. Like an animal who senses danger and turns away, that same intelligence moved in me. But the world presses in immediately. Family, teachers, culture, authority, all insisting that we belong, that we conform, that we become someone. And under this constant pressure, something new is created, the psychological self. The moment the self is formed, we face something entirely different, the will of the self. And from that moment forward, conflict is unavoidable. For now there are two movements at work. One is the natural instinct for true preservation, the freedom of life itself. The other is the will of the self, the drive to preserve not life, but an image. These two can never be reconciled. Their collision has been the story of my life. Time and again I was forced to confront this collision, sometimes in dreams. My first lucid dreams revealed the illusory nature of thought. Monsters seemed real until the moment awareness arose, and then they dissolved. The walls that trapped me vanished. What had felt solid was nothing at all. These dreams showed me what thought does every day. It builds illusions and calls them real. In waking life, the collisions were sharper. At school, at work, in the world, the pressure to conform never stopped. That was the will of the self, whereof fear protecting an image. There were other times when resistance took a clearer form. In chosen isolation, alone in nature, I had to face fear directly. No distractions, no one to lean on, just silence, rain, and the struggle to keep a fire alive. There, the two worlds met head-on. The natural instinct resisted fear by observing it, while the will of the self tried to resist by suppression. I discovered that only observation weakens fear, suppression strengthens it. This is the nature of resistance. The natural instinct resists illusion because it threatens life. The psychological self resists freedom because freedom threatens the image. These two movements collide again and again, and out of that collision comes conflict, division, and suffering. It took many years before I had the language to see this clearly. For most of my life, I only felt the struggle, as though I were moving between two worlds that could never meet. What others called detachment was never detachment. It was insight in motion. It was the mind moving freely away from what was harmful, even when I didn't yet have the words to explain it. Now I see the self for what it is. It still exists, it still plays its games, it still resists the loss of its images. But it is transparent. I can see it at work, and when it is seen, its hold weakens. This has been the thread of my life. Not ease, not certainty, but repeated confrontation with the two worlds, the freedom of instinct and the will of the self. The structure of the self is ancient. It is humanity's inheritance. But freedom is older still. It belongs to life itself. And so the question is not really about me. It is about you. Can you see the conflict in your own life? The natural instinct for freedom colliding with the will of the self? Can you feel the resistance of freedom against illusion and the resistance of the self against freedom? Because only in that confrontation does clarity appear. And only then does the freedom we were born with stand clear, untouched by the illusions of time.